So I've been driving a lot, and I'm down in the south of Norway now. And I'm off to see Tore and Jelle, who were both on our course last year. And those guys have got a mixed, diverse farm with egg mobiles they've just put in this year. And they've got cows and pigs, and they just made a huge no-dig market garden. And we've been forecast 100 mil of rain today, so I don't know how easy it's going to be to film, but it's just stopped raining now. But super excited to see these two and what they're up to, because this is a very different part of Norway. There's a lot more tree species, and it's still very beautiful. But yeah, let's go see their farm.
Yeah, we're typical Norwegian farm. It's 20 hectare farmland,
Yeah.
some forest around here. We're surrounded by a very good salmon river.
The reason I was excited to come here is it's a very diverse farm.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to hear about your journey transitioning from conventional agriculture to regenerative agriculture.
Yeah, I started 15 years ago here on my farm. Took over after my parents. It was typical conventional farm, and potato, grain, that things. And I did it the same way for some years, but I always had a thought to go organically one day. But to have it organically, we need animals in, and we got a production of 500 free-range pigs. So that was when everything started to get fun and a hell lot of work. I had to be a full-time farmer and do this much more a little bit conventional, organically way. But we did also a lot of other production with grain, potatoes, and all these things was not easy to sell. So we had to find other solutions, because that was economically not good. We had two issues on the way to where we are now, and that was there was some hole in my organic production, and it was not the economically way was not the best. And we figure out that there's other ways to sell our production. So we could go to a CSA model and also sell our overproduction to Reko, who is the local market.
The Ring
Yeah.
that we've made other videos about, so direct relationship with customers through Facebook.
Yeah. To do this change, it's a change for the future for us. But it's all these holes in typical organic farming we put in a system. Like we have big flood issues here, so we can do the grazing with the animals in a good way, that we are more ready for floods and for this dry summer we had this year. And the market garden is put up with the compost way and covering all this.
You're doing, this is the market garden behind us. You're doing a big no-dig setup. It's actually like 4,000 square meters, no?
Yeah, it's 1 hectare area behind us.
And 4,000 square meters of bed space.
Yeah. So we have 250 families who support us. We have also a meat package included in the CSA. So we are producing a quite diversity with pork and lamb and the cow meat, and we also have eggs from our now new chicken coop inspired by you. A veggie share here costs €400 per year. That's for one that's like a one-person share. It's around 150 kilos of veggies. We took a test on to compare it on the supermarkets here, and the same price was 1,600 euros for the same package. The veggie shares, we have around 250 shareholders now. We can see that maybe it's a lot of job, but we have all these things people want, and we also then, because we are a little bit on the countryside, it's not close to the cities, so we do a weekly box delivery also in the system. That makes us so we can take the tops when the veggies coming too much out there, then we could just push veggies out. But we also have that classical Norwegian model that people come to the farm and harvest by themselves.
So that's like you call it andelsjordbruk?
Andelslandbruk.
Yeah. So like for viewers, that's like a CSA, but in the traditional Norwegian model, people generally will come to the farm and harvest for themselves.
Yeah.
And how is managing that? That must be a bit of a nightmare.
I think you have to not have been a gardener to have this system, because if you have been a gardener and then you want 200 families on your field, that you just have to focus on your job sometimes, and they do a lot of things wrong, but it's okay.
It's fun though as well. It's got a lot of benefits and values to bring kids here, and you've built all this like facility here for people to sort of hang out and connect as a community and eat food, and it's got those other benefits that are really important to your mission as well.
It's a whole part of it. And of course, I like now then we have the Reko, the market, the marketplace in town, so we can get the extra use of more wasting vegetables, so we could sell it before it's too old, and have a system that these things works together. That's the fine part of it. We also have the egg share. They got 240 eggs for 100 euros per year, and they have a meat share that's about 35 kilos diversity of pork, lamb, cow, and they get 6 package for a whole year, and that costs around 500 euros. It's quite a good model for us. We can get the meat quick out, and it's easy to take it back from the butchery and just have a good system of it.
So this is a new feature on the farm?
Yeah, it's been out for 17 days now.
Okay. Nice design. Where'd you get the idea for that?
I don't know. It's it was the easiest way to build it. That was the case. So that's the inside. We could not find any steel mesh, so we've just used wooden slats, which in the end was quite nice because it made the coop more structurally sound. And then we used some old tree stumps as roosts, and just used the nest boxes that we already had. We were thinking of making a very complicated flip system where we could harvest the eggs from the backside, and we could close the nest boxes by pushing out the hens. But in the end we didn't have the time for that, so we ended up with just putting in this one, and it works actually surprisingly well. We get yesterday we had 172 eggs, and only 6 were dirty. The rest was just clean. And it's currently 189 chickens. That's what we had left over. And then in November we'll be getting some new chickens probably, and we'll see where we put them first. Either if it's in a tunnel or in the old chicken house that we already have. Use the drill to lift the legs and drive it out.
Nice. How much did it cost to build?
Close to 5,000 euros, I would say. That's including the trailer, which was about 700 euros. That's also including labor. But without labor, that's pretty much, I would say, going down to 2,500, 3,000. So it's okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, the door was something we had laying around. The roofing was the roosts were just cut from the forest. Also, we were thinking of just using the square beams, but I heard that for the chicken feet it's not so perfect, so I figured, well, what the heck, I'll just get some wood from the forest and just
That's what they evolved
screw
to
them
sit
in
on.
there. Yeah, exactly. So, and then the tractor we still had. The only thing, just have to do some minor repairs on it every once in a while.
So you guys have gone with white hens?
Yeah. The main reason for that was that we had some white hens from last year.
Right, because you have a laying barn up at the farm,
yeah,
like an
exactly.
old conventional style.
Not exactly. They used to be out in the summer. In the winter they're inside.
Mm-hmm.
And this year we've been trialing with the chicken coop, and we're actually considering getting the brown hens for next year.
It's worth for other people to know, like 90% of the eggs on the market are white in this part of the world, but actually customers
prefer the brown
ones.
ones.
They want brown eggs.
Yeah,
it's got
they
more of
think
a farm fresh
more
feel.
nutrition in it or something.
Yeah. So how are you guys managing grazing?
Well, we made a grazing schedule at the beginning of the year, and then by May we kind of threw it out the door.
Because of the drought?
Yeah.
So these guys have had the same severe drought that we've had?
Yeah, we've
in
actually
Sweden.
had, I think, maybe a little bit more rain than you have.
You had something like 87 mil all year?
Yeah, over the year until last Friday, and then we had the same amount in one weekend, so it's insane. It's been probably around 4 weeks with above 30 degrees weather, and even though we've been watering like crazy, we have a really big water drum, and we've been just watering the grass fields, basically because we had to run it to be able to run the market garden at the same time. The pump is too big to just run the market garden. Yeah, so we've been kind of trying to manage, and the main thing is this year we could not buy any grass for the winter time, so that's been pretty much 90% of the focus has been, okay, how can we get the most amount of grass balls for the winter? It's really interesting to see how much these chickens spread out the manure. Because we could see in the control lane, we could see that the manure piles were still there, completely intact. Of course there was insect activity being there, holes in it and everything, but still it was a lot of capping with the manure. With the chicken, where the chickens have been, you can see, you know, holes in the dirt and stuff like that from the scratching, but there's no concentrated cow manure anymore. So in my mind that would mean that, for instance, now you can see this spotty grazing here, and that's all because of the, well, mainly because of the cow shit that's underneath here.
They're avoiding coming back.
Yeah,
and
they're
grazing
avoiding eating their own feces, which I can understand. I mean, I would try to do that as well. But then if the chickens spread it out, then it's very little amounts everywhere, and then
better for the grass.
Better for the grass, better for the cows, and also better for the chickens because they get extra protein. So it's really awesome. On the other side, you can see here, there was winterrug last year, so that's winter rye. And besides that was potatoes last year, so we put that in grass as soon as we could.
Because this is a floodplain, right? The river is running just around the back here.
Coming down from there and then running all the way around by the tree line and then going all the way around behind you, all the way back to the sea there.
And you were saying it flooded out here, like in...
Don't hold me to that, but I think it's it was flooded up to basically that little red house over there. So that's, what is it, like half a kilometer maybe.
You were saying all the pig pens were washing off down the stream.
Yeah, and I think that was 4 or 5 years ago, 4 years ago I think.
So this you were saying you've had as much rain in the last weekend as you've had all summer since spring, basically.
Yeah, so it's been kind of crazy.
The road's not normally like that.
No, normally it's sandy and dusty, and you don't want to stop because then the whole car fills with dust. Yeah, it's quite extreme at the moment. But the nice thing, it's really good for the grass, and we've been kind of amazed because of the hot weather. I think most of the roots have gone down quite deep, and now, I mean, you can drive with a tractor over even after 87 millimeters of rain in a weekend, or close to that at least.
How did you guys, like, I know that you came here as a woofer, right?
Yeah.
And then, like, did he just make a job for himself, or like?
He quit this job.
Okay.
Yeah, and he come here and they make me on the track, because I'm quite in the box. I have this conventional background, and all people around me, they're getting this good.
And you're kind of coming, like, you're really excited about the whole regenerative ag piece that you've been kind of bringing. Like you expressed it like you've been putting the accelerator on and then you apply the brakes at times.
Yeah, pretty big there.
But it's rubbish compost.
No.
Well,
yeah,
yes and no. Like they have good compost.
We've just been talking about compost manufacture, and they got a whole facility right next to them.
Yeah.
But it's like made of bark of trees. No. We met when you came to the farm it was like a no-dig market garden course.
Yeah. The first 2-day intensive with Matt last year.
Right. And I could see then, like, you two obviously have. Like, I could see there's this complementary relationship where you bring different skills. Like, you're really into number crunching and spreadsheets, and you hate that stuff. So it feels like a really chance happening that you sort of come together, and it's amazing you're working that.
He also he asks a lot of questions that I don't like.
Uncomfortable questions that
are
and
necessary. He pushing that, and it was probably not that a stupid question after all.
Yeah.
The year before I quit my job as an engineer, and then they asked me to stay on till March, so that's what I did. And then in March I have one of my best friends lives in Sandefjord, which is 32 kilometers here from here, and I wanted to learn about farming. I applied to ag school in the Netherlands and went to Brazil, got the curriculum, and found that was not for me. Like the courses that they were teaching, I was thinking I can learn much more when I'm actually doing it and possibly getting paid to do so.
And actually having some responsibility.
Yeah, as well. So I want to start my own farm, at least that's the plan now. And if you're in ag school and you're working on somebody else's farm with no responsibility, then it's going to take a lot longer for you to be ready to start your own company.
You're a very humble man to allow other people to come in and just tell you things like about changing the whole structure. Like, it's a big... you can see, I hope people appreciate also like why it can be so, like, you're on the open end of the spectrum, right?
Oh,
but
yeah,
then
definitely.
The average farmer is so deeply patterned into ways of doing things that they will literally just keep damaging the soil till there is no other option, just because of the pride in their
but it
mind.
takes time to change that, and it's good to, if I was alone here and try to figure out all these things, it will take me 10 more years probably. Yeah. But that's been key, is having someone to bounce ideas with.
Yeah.
And
it's been a big job to make the beds this spring.
Wow, this is epic. So you've got 4,000 square meters of beds. So you guys have been hauling a lot of compost now.
Yeah, we have 50 meters bed, 150 of them. I think it was around 3,000 wheelbarrows with compost.
And you move that by hand?
By hand, all of them.
32 degrees weather.
It was in a heat wave. No?
Yeah,
all
awesome.
day.
Awesome. So what did you learn from that?
Get a machine to do it for you.
Something that can straddle the beds and...
Yeah, exactly. Like we have 40 centimeter pathways, and that's fine. But if you go for 45 centimeter pathways, then a lot of now we can only fit one tractor in here that has the same wheelbase as the pathways. But if you take 45, then you can fit 20. So that's, little things. Do some research before you make your final design.
So this is, it's a lot of beds now, and you're doing 100,000 euros of veg sales. That's a lot, but you're not. How many people are working? Like, how many hours is going into it?
Because of the weather, we didn't get much help this year, so we nearly did it by ourselves. There was some renting help, but.
And in the beginning of the year, a lot of a couple of the shareholders, we were CSA, they helped out with making the beds.
Yeah.
So the people that always show up, they were really awesome and instrumental in getting all the beds done. That's just.
But it's a pretty epic achievement for just the two of you mainly working on it, and I know you're busy doing other animal chores also.
Mm-hmm.
Can you, this is all with can you show us the compost down in the beds? You're not totally happy with it now, but it's...
No, it's here. This is, of course, there's some wood chips on it, but you can see there's a lot of little stones in it, so that's one thing that I'm not really happy about, and it has a lot of sticks and woody material. But apart from that, the roughness is okay. It's just, it's good as a cover, but it's not decomposed enough to really be of really good nutritional value.
It's a good layer here.
Yeah, but this is the soil that we're dealing with, and it's
very sandy here.
Yeah, it's Sahara.
But that will start to incorporate pretty quickly. You'll get nice.
Yeah, actually, there's some beds there that have been turned over twice or 3 times, and they're actually, ready to receive another layer of compost. So you can really see that in the weeds as well. It's quite amazing how much it suppresses. That's
the thin, the good spacing between the beads was big troubles in the heat.
Yeah.
Especially this one we tried 3 times.
4 actually.
You mean this bed has got big patches? That's from the heat wave we had.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you've got a lot of bountiful crops.
We seeded 4 times, and now actually the seeds are coming up. You can see there, that's the seed that's been seeded in May this year. The others are already finished.
So no dig's quite a big departure from your conventional background, I guess, and you like tractors and big machines also, no?
It's good to get rid of them, but it took a time, and it felt really bad to not do plowing. That will be next year's nightmare, but no, I understand it now how it works. I'm very happy with that choice, but the good part now is next spring we are ready so much earlier.
Yeah.
And that it's okay. We had
that 2 weeks extra is
it's critical in a short growing season.
Yeah, exactly.
What's this? We're just moving the camera here, and you see they've got blocks on each of these beds. This is 12-3. What's the sort of bed setup you've got here? You've got different blocks that you're rotating, or?
Yeah, so basically one block has one family on it, and every block has its own sprinkler system, and that makes it really easy for people to understand. Okay, hey, this is where you get the salad. This is where you get the beets. This is where you get the beans. That's the maize. And
so it's partly for your planning and partly for communicating with customers who are coming here
and
to do the harvesting.
also because of organic certification, you have to have a crop rotation. So it makes everything really, really easy.
There's also a little sign on each bed. So here you can pick a little bit, the yellow thing. If it's green, you can pick a lot. So people can.
So your communication tool. Let's have a look over here. So green means this is ready, take as much as you want.
No, blue is take as much as you want, and green
blue
is
actually extra. You can pick extra.
Okay, so everyone can have as many courgettes as they want.
Exactly.
That's a really neat idea, guys. I like that.
This is an example of your harvesting. how you use it, how you store it, some health benefits.
This is like info that you put in boxes.
No, this will stand on each bed.
Okay.
Because people are walking out here and
so all the different crops have different info boards. And
yeah.
Beets,
That's awesome.
sweet potato.
He has hand
pumpkins.
draw it everyone's, and
That's awesome.
that will be very nice in the garden.
So you guys have got you're pumping out of the river, right?
Yeah.
For irrigating. So despite the droughts, which has obviously affected crops in some ways, but you've had enough water, which is nice.
Yeah, no, the drought has not affected crops for us. It's mainly the heat, I think.
Like the bolting and
The bolting and stunting of crops. So every block has its own semi-permanent sprinkler system. So it's basically just sticks with little spreaders. They open up and they just sprout out water, and it's about 8-meter radius. And the plan for next year, we have all the automation, so we can make it completely automated.
It's going to be computer controlled, right?
Yeah, computer controlled.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's gonna save 2 hours a day easily.
In the height of production.
Yeah, in the height of production, in the height of the summer. Things that haven't been working is some specific carrots.
We have a felt behind here who's not that.
Like half the field is just either the heat or carrot flies that have infested it, and it just is terrible. But then again, other things have worked really well.
But you've got
you
you've
have
got
to see one thing here, because that's typically Ella. We start in the spring, and he put insane much fennicle on one place, and I said this doesn't work, but it did work.
You've got some really broad insect netting, like that must be pretty efficient now. I've seen a lot of people starting to do this where they're netting entire blocks rather than...
Yeah, we were thinking of doing it for every hoop, but first off, these stupid nails, they don't work. At least not with these long beds, because if it just blows up a little, then the whole thing goes. So if you've been using sandbags, which is much easier, also much faster if you want to take it off.
Yeah.
You just lift off the sandbags, and it's, that's it.
So you don't make holes in them.
No, and it's really like efficient to have these big nettings. So that's really awesome. And we already had them, so why cut them up in little pieces when that's just going to generate more work and yeah.
What's been like your best successes crop wise? Like what have you been super proud of?
Onions, I think. Onions were like that big. That was quite awesome. And I think
we have
like the
celery root is quite
celery
good this year. We struggle it with
that's the celeriac. They're actually getting quite nice, and also like the parsnip.
Chili.
No, that's pastured. Yeah. So parsnips are also quite nice. Like this bed, we've seeded it twice, and we were thinking it was terrible, but it's actually pretty darn okay. So that's also really nice, like stuff like that.
Yeah, we have a test with sweet potato. Nobody has sweet potato in Norway. It's too far up. But we have 1,000 plants, and I think it's pretty okay.
Yeah.
When do you think they'll be harvestable?
We could start harvesting now in 2-3 weeks.
Like something I always really try and emphasize for people starting up with no dig is to really put enough material down to block out weeds. Like, do you feel like you did that successfully?
The biggest issue is the part where the bed ends and the pathway begins.
Yeah.
And we put down the wood chips from needle trees, pine trees, and that's actually worked surprisingly well.
Well, we need we need more.
Yeah, but we need to put on more. So that was one of the big things.
I mean, you spent a lot of time this year building up the beds in the beginning, but how much time have you spent weeding? Like, do you see the significance of the difference between?
Well, we've weeded the same on this block as we did on the salad block. Like this block was potatoes and no compost.
So this is just a tillage potato plot.
We never do more potatoes on the garden.
I mean, it's completely overgrown with weeds, and when you do the same practices with the salads, which was the first block. We didn't do any more weeding there. Actually, probably less.
I think I have 80% less weeds with the system, and
that's the first year.
Yeah, and we of course was watering a lot, so we cannot say it was the special summer who was the main factor of that, but I can see there's much less weeding.
Oh, here's the tool shed that hasn't been built yet, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What's the key tools? Like, tell us about your bed prep methods, like the orders that you would use things, and which tools you found critical.
I think that these two are the most important for bed prep, actually.
You're using a broad fork and a rake to prep the bed surface.
Yeah, so you broad fork the bed, then you rake it down. If you need to add a little bit extra compost, you add a little bit extra compost, you rake that down again. You use the bed roller, either with the pins or without the pins.
So the pins there are for setting your holes.
Yeah, exactly. To just and they're really easy to remove and to clip in, and it's like a dibbler, but super fast. So that's really great for if you want to mark a row out and you want to have stuff straight, which makes it much easier to use the biodisc or.
What's that?
So it's a cutter and a hiller. So you just.
That's a TerraTech one. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. So you just roll it around, and it cuts on the side of the plant, and then it just hills up dirt on the row. So it just does a 2-in-1 job.
But we will probably use it more with the hook.
Use it as just an oscillating hoe.
Yeah.
And then you've got the 3-row jang, but you've actually put another seeder on, so you've got four seeders on the 3-seeder jang.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really nice to have an extra seeder, extra hopper in there, because you can actually, if you only have a 6-row seeder, then either you have to do 2 times up, 2 times down to do 12 rows, or you have to do what's that?
It's compost.
Oh, okay. Or you have to do just 6 rows, and if you have 4 in there, you can do 8 rows, and it's just fine. So that's really nice, and you can also just take one up and not use it, so you still have the 3-row jang.
Are you saying it does bunch up with compost a bit by having the 4th one?
But that's basically because of the rough structure of the compost, and also if it's wet, if the compost is a little bit wet. So I did some seeding yesterday, and that's terrible. Mm-hmm. So you have to get a dry, relatively fine bed for the jang. But it's, I mean, for precision and ease of use, it's so nice because you can just, pop it out, you take out all the seeds and just
it feels good.
Seeds. Yeah, so it's like, using a baby stroller. Everybody can do it.
Where would you have bought it from if you knew?
Nice question. This is actually from Two Bad Cats in the US, and I prefer this one over the TerraTech one because it has double row instead of single row. I think the TerraTech one has only a single row, but I'm not really sure. And it is a little bit more flexible. So it's really awesome if you have a bed of transplanted lettuce, or you just do 1 pass up, 1 pass down, and you've weeded it. It doesn't work for rhizomatous roots, but that's something you have to take out anyway. So yeah, that's a pretty awesome tool. I really like it. So it makes it weeding much faster.
So that's basically your whole market garden toolkit.
Yeah, then you also have the flame weeder, which is
the fun part now is that everything suits the bed.
Yeah. You're glad you went to 75 centimeter beds in the end?
No, it just makes sense.
It makes sense. Tell us about the flame weeder. Like, are you using that regularly, or?
Well, yeah. If we have the,
I think we just should use it harder. It's no problem.
Yeah.
And it's quite an amazing tool.
Yeah, it's so easy to just, if you have a seeded bed, or you can do stale seed bedding or anything like that, it's just so easy just to walk one time up, one time down with the flame weeder, and you're done.
But we had the onions last year, and you felt very bad when you're burning the onions.
Yeah.
But it's so easy with onions and just burn them all down nearly, but they coming super after.
Do you find it sets fire to the compost?
Very little. I was thinking it was going to do much more. I was really afraid about the compost, but it's just very, like, maybe 2 or 3 little things that are burned, and in my mind that's not an issue. If you water before you burn, that also makes a big difference, because you're going to burn the weeds anyways, so it doesn't really matter if you wet the compost down.
We've been talking about like you're doing potato in a conventional way that goes into boxes and forms like a staple basis of the box, that it has quite a lot of value, more than just selling potato on the market.
Yeah.
But also you make grain for milling to sell flour.
Yeah.
And these are both practices that you understand are soil depleting, but they are anchor stones still for the economy at this point.
Yeah.
So the idea of exploring pastured boilers or whatever is to see if you can really step out of that into a fully...
It's no problem to sell it. It's all about our time. If we want to be one person more on the farm or something.
So it's got to drive a salary that will cover more than one enterprise in time inputs. Like if someone could do boilers at the scale that...
But then I think we should have. I don't want to put up one thing just to cover one person's work. We have to have some extra out of it.
That's what we were saying with the boilers, right? If one person, we were just playing with stats on the board, if one person did 3,000 birds a year, you've got this lovely benefit where you could have them butchered off site, which means you basically move and feed them, and the income from that pays a full-time salary. That full-time person's going to spend 1 hour a day with boilers. So they could actually be running the layers, the cows, like the pigs.
In that positions, we could forget the grain and the potato, because that's. I don't want to have the small chickens on the flood area. Yeah. That's if you need a quick evacuation, then that's a stressing.
So I'm on the ferry and just about to get off in Denmark. I'm on my way to go and see Anders and Katrine next. But just reflecting back on this trip, it's been so humbling to see Tore's attitude and just the openness and calm manner with which he's facing this major transition. I mean, to let go of your, everything you've built up and know about things, to really receive a totally different education, a re-education, and to be open to the input of people who, also learning as a way of just like springboarding ideas and innovating. It was really humbling for me, and I think that's just incredible. And it's interesting to know that these guys are gonna possibly, I'm not sure if this is true, but I think they might open up to 1 or maybe 2 apprentices next year who want to learn about quality raised pork and grass-fed beef and pastured poultry, and they're going to start up pastured broilers. It sounds like they have a way that they can butcher them off-site and have them packaged, etc., for a few euros a bird. So it's a much better deal for them than to make some kind of processing facility, as well as this funding they've just got for building an on-site food processing room for utilizing the produce from the market garden. So it's a really exciting time to be there, and there's a lot of knowledge there to share and glean from. And I think Tore is so humble, you wouldn't know it doesn't come across in the video. He's got 15 years of farming experience, having grown up on a farm. So I think there's a lot that you could benefit from joining them. I'm not sure if it's true that they are offering that, but you can stay in touch with them through the links below. But yeah, it was really humbling, and it's amazing what they've achieved with limited resources. I'm very impressed, and it's a beautiful place. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks so much for showing us around, folks.
Yeah,
it's epic work. I hope you get some rest time this winter and replan, and I look forward to seeing where next season goes too. Thanks so much everyone for watching, and you can find out a whole bunch more on Facebook,
Virgenes, Farm and
Instagram.
Garnering.
We'll put that in the links below for those of you that don't speak Norwegian. Thanks so much for your time, folks, and we'll see you in the next video.